Okay, so my computer says we're live. Hello, everyone. It's probably going to be a delay. Let me just check YouTube really quick. Yeah, I can see us. That's good. Okay, so welcome to episode 3 of the Tarot Roundtable. And of course, we have a few people here. So with me, I have Carla from Carla Astrology and Summer from Astaria Sin. And as a guest today, we have Zach from the Tiger's Abyss. Hello, everyone. And of course, you can find all the links to the channels in the description box. So if you're not already subscribed, go and subscribe. Courtney cannot be here today because of technical difficulties, so we hope to see her in the chat. And her link is also down below. And of course, also the link to Zach's channel if you're not already subscribed, so go there. I see Amy is here. Hi, hello. Okay, today's topic is the threes in the tarot. So we're going to talk all the cards that have the number 3. That's in the minor arcana, and also all the cards that have a 3 or break down to a 3 in the majors. And that is actually what this whole round table started with when I think it was Summer, Rochelle, and I who had this conversation about the 3 of Swords, where we were thinking about, like, okay, why is it always depicted with the swords through the heart and associated with heartbreak if the swords are about air and thinking and all of that? And wouldn't the heartbreak stuff be more like in the cups? So I'm just going to leave that like in the open now, this question for now. But that's what got this whole thing started. So what we want to do today is look at not just like the cards, but also the imagery, how they are depicted, and if possibly different depictions give us a different way of interpreting the cards. And so we all have different deck collection, different decks, so it should be interesting what kind of cards we each have and how we read with them. But before we get into any of that, I have a question. Outside of tarot, what do each of you associate with the number 3? Like for me, 3 has always been my favorite number. I don't know why. It's just my favorite number. So, Carla, what do you associate with number 3?
I feel like that's when the creativity begins, because you're putting your head together with, you know, more than just one other person. So I just feel like it's a progressively taking everything that you have at that point and putting that teamwork in there, and the creativity will begin. And mind you, I've been, you know, doing tarot for approximately, I don't know, maybe 6 months now, you know. So I'm a newbie, and I love everybody's ideas and thoughts on it.
Yeah, also to everyone in chat, like all the questions that we ask, please feel free to join in and give us your opinions. So yeah, talk with us about this topic. So hello, Tarot and Witchery. Summer, what do you, outside of tarot, associate with the number 3?
For me, it's more like a middle ground, gray area. I agree with Carla that there's a creativity aspect to it. But when I think or associate the number 3, it's always, you know, that third person who's the, you know, the middle ground between two arguments, you know, or it's not the black or the white, it's the gray. So it's right there in the middle. So I see like a middle ground about the 3s that I find interesting. And I also associate it with fairies. So
what's the association with fairies there?
I can't really explain it. Like the number 3 and 7 for me just really ring out for fairy stuff. And like a lot of the folklore in fairy tales revolve around the number 3. So it comes out a lot in old folk tales, a lot of the time, more than anything else in the fairy tales. But so I just automatically associate it right off the bat.
Interesting.
That is.
What about you, Zach?
So I am more in line with Carla. I think of it as creativity, creation. I literally and I said, oh, I studied. I refreshed my memory on this. So sorry if I turn around and look at my whiteboard real quick. So
I want to have a whiteboard too.
So one of the things that really stuck out to me, one of the notes that I took, and I'm like, I don't know why I don't remember this more often, and is that it is viewed. I don't know what book I got this from, on one of the Kabbalah books that I read, but it noted, the number 3 in the Tree of Life is Binah and the mother, and it is the culmination of Keter and Hokmah, and so it is unity and duality brought together to make the triplicity. And it's like there's a lot of like the factor that it makes a triangle, and how it makes the first like solid shape and separated like space, compared to like where it's just one is just the point, or the line is 2, and so when you have 3, that finally creates 3 points, and that makes a boundary, from what's inside and what's outside, even though the circle can be viewed as like one because it's one side, but it's I don't know, for some reason 3 seems more logical in a way to fit that just as much. Okay. And so there's also that idea of that it's unity as well. It's that, and yeah, somehow, but also 4 it gets weird. I don't want to get too far into that.
I love that.
Yeah. For me, like the first thing that comes to mind with the 3 is either like the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, also like the Father, Son, Holy Ghost thing from the church, and then like Amy said, 3rd time's the charm. All good things come in 3s. Those things are like what I associate with the 3. And then Taryn Whitry said, we gain energetic stability in the 3s. It creates spaciousness that allows for greater thought in an area. So the struggle of the 2 disappears. Okay, so yeah, overall, like what I wrote down here in my notes, like the 3 is like the creation and the creativity, and the cards that we have in the majors. I'm just gonna move this over here a bit. We got so many cards here. So the cards associated with the 3, of course, the very obvious one is the Empress, that has the number 3. But also with the 2-digit numbers that we can break down, it's the 12, the Hanged Man, that comes down to a 3, and also the 21, the World. So these are the 3 cards. Let me just get them. So yeah, what I wrote down, like signify a unifying force. Like a couple that together create something new, and we usually have that like creation, birthing something new in the Empress. And so when we see these 3 cards, question for all of you, how do you make sense of these 3 cards together in the number 3? Like what do you see, like a line going from A to B? Do you see anything that they have in common?
Should I go?
Just go, yeah.
Usually when I see these 3, I usually think of it as, I think they line up perfectly. Empress above the Hanged Man right above the World is the 3x7 order. Where you put the majors in 3 rows of 7, I think. Should be that. If not, it's the 3x9, and the last bottom row has like, I don't know how many. It doesn't have 9 cards because there's not that many cards in the major arcana. But how I usually view it is like I'm trying to stay away or move away from viewing the Empress as just pregnant all the time, but in this situation, I do view her as pregnant. The Hanged Man is birth, and then the World is like the new child out of the world. And there's a lot of that, because you can also see like, you know, the hanged man is just a reflection of the world, just upside down with how he's posed, and his arms are in a different pose. And so yeah, that's what I see there with the three.
Summer, do you see anything that these cards might have in common, or like an evolution in the cards?
I'm not there yet. To be perfectly honest, like I've done very little study on how the major arcana kind of go together. I know the Fool's Journey, but that's about as far as it goes for me. Just looking at them, I think it's really interesting, Zach, that how you put it. I hadn't heard of that before, so that's interesting.
I don't know where I got it from. I think it might have been Tarot Wisdom, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I've been doing tarot for probably almost 3 years now, but I hadn't heard of that at all, Zach. And so I find it very interesting. And as I'm looking at the cards in mine, because I took mine out of Crystal Visions, and I've got the Empress, who is obviously pregnant, right? And then the Hanged Man, which, as you said, kind of looks like that birthing thing. So I thought that was really interesting how it just flows right into my cards. So that was really cool. But yeah, I don't have a lot to say about that, other than I thought that take was pretty cool.
What about you, Carla?
Well, I picked a couple different decks. I have one that my daughter gifted me at Christmas time, which is an alien deck in Russian. Okay, so
You
I
have
do
that
wanna
one. I'm so jealous.
I do want to, get into that, but not with the question you just asked. So I got out the Gilded Tarot for that. And just by looking at the cards, let me put that up to the camera. There's the Empress. It's like, even though she's 3, and like Zach said, that triangle, I feel like she's still the mother of it. And then like that spark of creativity. And then if you bring in the Hanged Man, that's like 2, the midway between the journey, and that kind of coincides with what Summer said. And then the World, you've got 3, like the completion of it. So I feel like it is the higher level of that 3, the beginning of the 3 to like maybe the higher octave or the higher level of it. And I'm just, theorizing.
Yeah, well, that's what we do. Like, I don't really think there are any right or wrong answers. It's how we interpret what we learn and how we use it. So what I thought when I looked at these cards and their meanings, for me was, so in the Empress, that's like the beginning stage when something is about to be born. We have this creative idea, and we want to bring something into the world, whether that's an actual child, like a real birth, or whether it's an idea, a project, something new that we're working on. And then in the Hanged Man, that's kind of like a little bit like crisis mode halfway through, when you start questioning stuff and all of a sudden hit that wall when it's like, oh, I don't know how to do this anymore. And so you take the different perspective to kind of get out of that, so that you can still keep working on it. And then the World card is the finish line, when all is said and done and you made it and you finish the project, or the child comes into the world, stuff like that. So that's kind of like how I see the progression with these 3 cards.
Awesome.
Okay, so let's see. Yeah, because I wrote down that 3s are asking us to move forward, not backwards. So yeah, when you try to put something out in the world, that's moving forward. And once it's out there, you can't really go back too much anymore. And then even when you are in that crisis mode or questioning everything, the only way is forward, because what's behind you, there's nothing anymore. And then even with the finish line, once you've done everything, then you start something new. So the whole thing starts all over again. And something I wrote down that I found interesting was, it says cards numbered 3 are not just the line in the sand, they are the crossing of the line in the steps to move far beyond it. At its most intense, any card with a 3 carries the power of complete transformation. And so when we get, or that's how I see it, when I get more than 1 3 in a reading, that for me signifies, okay, this change is inevitable, like there is the need to move something forward, and it might not be as planned, but it's needed. So, and by the way, everyone, hello, who's coming in to the stream just now. Please feel free to put questions, comments in the chat to join into the whole thing. So I want to go into the minors now, and I would like to start with the 3 of Wands. So let me get the cards. So of course, this one is the one that most of us know, and that probably most of us started with, the RWS. And so I would just want to go around the room quickly. So what do you each associate with the 3 of Wands? Summer.
So for me, the 3 of Wands is, you got the normal one, right? Where he's like, the person is looking off into the distance. Clearly he's got the other 2 wands behind him or her, right? And is holding on to the 3rd one. So I always feel like it's headed in the direction of stability for the wands, and wands are that like fiery energy that's like pushing you forward, and you're letting go of the other things that you thought you might want to do, but maybe you don't. And you found the 3rd one, and so you're taking that one with you into the stability mode of 4s. But that's how I view the 3 of Wands, really, is that movement forward. So I do find it interesting that the 3 of Wands has a cat companion, and I don't know if it has a cat companion for you guys, but most of my decks have a cat companion.
And this one
yours
is not.
No.
But in this one, there is, well, if you look at the before and after tarot, there is the suggestion of there being a bird.
A bird.
And
okay,
so
yeah.
I think that's something like very, very faintly, there's something that is like coming out behind his clothes.
Yeah.
And so he can be holding that bird in front of him in this picture. So yeah.
Well, then I've got the Harmonious Tarot, and it's actually a cow. I mean, she's still looking off into the distance, but there's a cow companion instead of a cat companion, which I find interesting.
What it makes me think of is the Queen of Wands, and how the Golden Dawn organized the decanic distribution on the court cards. I believe the 3 of Wands lines up with the Queen of Wands, and so I don't know if I doubt Stephanie Puman Law for the Shadowscapes was intentionally doing that, but either way it lines up, and you know, with the cat and the Queen of Wands and in the 3 of Wands there.
I didn't know it lined up that way, but yeah, so that's how I see the 3 of Wands, is just that looking off in the distance, holding on to the one that you want to move forward with.
Zach, do you want to continue?
I'm not sure where to go with it. I'm not a big fan of the 3 of Wands, particularly in the Rider-Waite-Smith. It just looks like the 2 of Wands, but instead of a globe, it's another staff. Like, give me something different. But of course, here it's more like he's venturing off. He's traveling. It's more, if I'm not mistaken, from what I read in one of the Golden Dawn books, the Zalewski, I think that's how you pronounce their name. They mentioned that it's more to do with your reputation and more of like how you appear to other people, because you see in the background there's those little ships coming into that, you know. I go back and forth whether it's like ships or it's a desert, but it would make more sense to be ships because boats. Looks like what?
Looks like ships, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like this. The water is like golden yellow. It looks like, so I can't really tell if it's sand or water sometimes. And so it's because, you know, the Three of Wands in the Thoth, it's called virtue. So, you know, that's what I'm, you know, the things that make you a relatable and a person that people like to be around and to connect with in a way. You know, it's because Aries says, you know, its quote is "I am." You know, so it's like, who are you then? You know, what makes you? What type of a person are you? Are you someone that I would like to connect with? You know, so yeah, it's like where Two of Wands is dominion, what you own and what you have, the land that you see around you. Three is like, what can I share with other people and what can I gain from their dominions as well? Kind of, if yeah.
What about you, Carla?
So interestingly, in the Gilded Tarot, it is kind of like the Rider-Waite. He's got the staffs and he's looking out. So it's like, it's almost like, I think a word I associate with that is anticipation, foresight, and it is, it's kind of looking, especially with a fiery passion, like excited about things to come. And it's interesting because the other deck that I was telling you about, and I feel bad for not really knowing what that means, because that's the one thing that I did not translate on Google Translate. Anyway, but I did translate the meanings of the cards. So this is the Three of Wands. You can see that. It's almost like there's somebody trapped inside that triangle. And the meaning is passions and tenderness are opposed, and those who do not know the real feelings. And obviously English or Russian to English, there might be some words that are switched, you know, but it's almost like creating a prison for yourself by looking at this card. And I don't necessarily know if I believe that, but it's just another interesting way to look at it.
Well, that goes into the whole thing, like how we read other pictures. Like when I see that picture, I get a sense of being trapped, because being surrounded by three beings, like, gives me like, can you show that card again?
Yes, I can.
Because even that person there looks kind of afraid, right?
Yeah.
Because to me, that wouldn't be like a really comfortable situation to be in. So yeah, I'm getting something like, I would read that card very differently than like the traditional meaning.
Yeah.
So, cause like for me, the way that I see the threes, it's like the confidence to move forward, and coming out of the twos, now taking it to the next level, going to new places, possibly dare to dream, following like new impulses. Whereas in the twos, I was like thinking about it, narrowing it down, and now I'm taking that first step. So I don't want to let opportunity pass me by. And some card that I really like with this is in the Vampiria tarot, where three are standing still in the ground, like in the Two of Wands, and then there's this sign telling me where to go, like giving me a sense of direction, like, let's move it, let's go someplace. And yeah, I really like that. Do you have any other like 3-1 cards? Anyone in the group that you want to share? One that I also really like is in my Haunted House tarot, where she has like 3 candles as the wands, and she is like, she has the light with her, and wherever she goes, she will be in the light. So even if she goes into a dark place, she'll be fine.
That last 3 of Wands, the ones with the stakes, that one, like, it lines up pretty well. And one thing that I forgot to kind of mention about the 3 as well is that, you know, it's that Hokmah 2 is that outpouring of energy, pure flowing energy. It's just, but it's not concentrated. So 3 comes in and concentrates that energy. So there, it's like I saw that too, the 2 stakes in the ground, and then then the 3rd is directing it and saying this way, focus it this direction. Because if you don't have that focus, that restraint, that limitation, it's gonna just disperse, and you're not gonna really focus that energy into any actual productive things.
Yeah, Backyard Natural Star, 3 of Wands, and is in the Queen's Deacon, Sun and Aries, what you mentioned. Okay, so let's move on to the Pentacles. Of course, this is the card that we all know. And Carla, why don't you start? What do you see in the 3 of Pentacles? What does that card represent for you?
Well, if I'm looking at the alien, Russian alien, I'll show you the card real quick. He's like a spectator, or either that or they seen him, one or the other. But the translation is, no matter how far the goal may seem, you will achieve it if you persevere. And then there's actual like a word that's a keyword that says fight. So Pentacles being earth for me is more about cooperation. It's being practical. So that's the 3 people coming together. So, and if I look at it in the Gilded Tarot, I'm not very organized here. Oh goodness, there it is. There's only one person, and it looks like he might be kind of juggling that, but make it all work together. So I guess that kind of goes the same. But
what about you, Summer?
So for me, like the 3 of Pentacles, I've used the Crystal Visions quite a bit, and I feel like it's supposed to be a card of like working together, but I don't necessarily always feel that. In this card right here, it kind of looks like he's upset because he's doing a lot of the work and she's doing a minimal amount of work. That's what it looks like to me. So when I look at the 3 of Pentacles, I think I got it off on the wrong side. There we go. Is that better?
Fair.
All right. But yeah, so that's what it looks like, because he's like really unhappy here, and she is not unhappy, but she's not really paying attention to what he's doing either. So I feel like there's a sense of missed cooperation sometimes when it comes to the 3 of Pentacles, and associating that depending on how the readings are going. Whereas like I do see a togetherness, a middle ground with the 3s. 3 of Pentacles doesn't always show me that middle ground. It shows like a separation of the middle ground for me.
What about you, Zach?
Okay, so I usually view the 3 of Pentacles as, yes, that teamwork and cooperation, but it's not like everybody's doing the same thing on the project. So in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, you see that you have the craftsman actually carving the stone into the wall, carving the stone itself. You have the person holding the plans, the designer, and then you have the priest, who is, I believe, who owns the church that is being built. And I believe the guy in like the really colorful robes there, I think he is funding the project. He's the patron to the project there. So each person has a specific role. Not all of them can be carvers carving that, carving the stone. It's what you got to have the funds to make sure that everything's going right. You have to have the architect to design and make sure things are even possible to be built, and yeah, that's how I view it. Each three parts of a whole to make the project go and come to fruition.
I love that.
Yeah, because when I look at the before and after tarot again, like in the before tarot, there's the guy with the robe that you were talking about, and he's like drawing what he wants, and then the person who's doing it and the priest guy, they're standing next to him. And then in the after tarot, it's just one person admiring the work that was done. So now it's all finished. But yeah, so when I look at the Three of Pentacles, I get this sense of like working together, but also letting others in the sense of cooperation, because there has to be a kind of willingness to accept other people's opinions, or even when it comes to accepting help. And being able to say yes to a collaboration. Then since it's like the Pentacles that I also relate to, like work and stuff, it's to me talking about skills, because you're trying to do something here. And also like when you do something and you're like with Pentacles, like getting paid, it also has this aspect of like reputation, like whatever you put out there, you will be judged for your work afterwards, not just for how well you played with others, but also the result. So based on your work and your ethics, and also an acknowledgement of changes, while also being disciplined, because the only way that you can really make something, especially as a group, if there is a certain sense of discipline that everyone is, using in a sense. And since the Pentacles are the slowest suit, it also, to me, talks about patience, because from like drawing up the plans to the finished product, it usually takes a bit of time. So the collaboration, that is something that will last for a while. And so, yeah, I want to think about like, who do I collaborate with, and what does that collaboration even mean, and what can I get out of it? And speaking on that, like one book that I can really recommend when it comes to looking into the cards is Journaling the Tarot by Andy Matzna, where you have like, no, not this page, 2 pages full of questions for each card. And this I use when I just want to get like a deeper understanding of the cards, because thinking about these kind of questions, that gives me personally a very like a broader understanding of the cards. And no, I'm not sponsored.
One of the things that I really liked was that you mentioned admiration and showing that, and the Tarot of Delphi, she usually, like, all the cards have like just one painting, but here she wanted to have 2 paintings here, one of the craftsman building the statue, and then here we have these people admiring this fresco, I think is what it's called,
Mm-hmm.
And so she wanted to make sure that it's this big project that, it doesn't really matter, like if you do all this work, if it's not even seen and shown to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so where was I going with this? Yeah, you gotta share, and again, be open to those opinions, and be open to those critiques of the work. And that's another thing, is how big is this work, because with that one, the Gilded Tarot that you showed, Carla, is, that one, this is the thing that it's like images and what you put and don't put in the cards really does affect it, because that just looks like 8 of Pentacles but with less pentacles. And
right.
So it's tarot creators have to be careful with how they depict these cards, because there's a point as to why there's those 3 people, there's a group of people working on the 3 of Pentacles. Yeah.
We got some more people coming in. Hi, Maria, and hi, Antoinette. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. And now we're getting to the one card that no one really wants to get in a reading. Three of Swords. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
So, the Three of Swords, which is a bit confusing, because that's what I mentioned in the beginning, when it's like the swords are air and communication and all that good stuff. So why do we have the heartbreak here? So it's always like the piercing of the heart, and that's the card that we are mostly familiar with. So this is where I want to see like whatever kind of cards you also have to show something different. So first of all, like, what do you each associate with the Three of Swords? Carla.
That one is, if you're just thinking of the traditional meaning without the astrological association, because I think that that's actually important. But it's like disappointment, you know. Maybe you're at a point where you've come together and you got all this stuff and you're just like, man, this is just not going where I want it to go. Dang it. So in the Gilded Tarot, I have the piercing of the heart. And it's like, you know, that could mean getting your expectations up real high, thinking this is it, and then all of a sudden something's like tearing it down. And then I also have, which I find this really interesting, in my Alien Russian tarot deck, the wands have like a, I don't know if you can you see that without being pixelated? It looks like Star Wars, what do they call that?
Like a lightsaber?
Lightsaber. And the swords is that, but it's actually being in use.
Okay.
I thought that was pretty interesting. And so there aren't any, they're not using that saber in that card. They're just up in a tornado, you know, which still kind of speaks of crap being torn apart. Almost said the other word there. Crap's just like, you know, taking everything that they had and just tearing it apart. Like, okay, guess you're gonna have to start over. You know, and leaving it in pieces. Yeah, I would see heartache from that.
What about you, Summer?
Self-sabotage. That's what I associate with the Three of Swords, is self-sabotage. So I've got a couple cards to show. The Crystal Visions, like I said, is the one I use the most. And in this one, she's holding the heart, and there's no one else around her. She's probably put the swords there herself. And that's where the self-sabotage for me comes in. But also in the Harmonious Tarot, which is kind of like a different take of it. Let's see if I can show you guys. There's a woman who is like in the water, and she is grabbing the Cupid's arrow, like she's going to put it in herself rather than Cupid putting it in her. So I get this really, really strong sense of self-sabotage. Like you're not being patient enough to wait for whatever it is that's supposed to come for you, or that something has happened and your brain just isn't letting you deal with it properly or something like that. So instead of thinking it through, instead of, you know, piecing it apart and actually taking it one step at a time, you're jumping either too far ahead or you're jumping backwards, and you're sabotaging yourself because of it.
Yeah.
There's a comment here related to the Gilded Tarot. It's coming from all directions because it's inescapable. And Taryn Witchery said, if Summer, if you hold the cards in front of your face, maybe it will focus better. Okay, so Zach.
Okay, so one of like I was just thinking of like why the heart is there. And it's like I always viewed it as like things that you're learning that's going to hurt your feelings. Things, it's what Strength Averse here said. Three of Swords is the shit just got real card. Confronted with reality, you got to deal with it. And it's definitely like shown here. You see one sword piercing the heart, one sword piercing the mind, and one sword piercing both. But they're not just but it's not just like piercing them, it's connecting the two as well. And there's a great playlist. I think it's still up. It should still be there. That Natalia, she used to be called Tarot Ouroboros. She's now called Tarot Shrink. She did this way before she like deleted her videos and deleted her channel for a while. But they should still be up there. But she did a tag on the Three of Swords and like a bunch of channels and a bunch of videos. A great resource to better understand that card. And there was one more video that I saw. I can't remember the channel. I will try to send it to Lady Knight. Maybe she can like link it in the description down below, because it is perfect for this. And I don't want to like not give credit where credit's due, because he really pointed out something that I was like, oh, it really makes one wonder, you know, how like about Pamela Colin Smith's work on the minor arcana, you know. And but again, there's not much info on like the creation process compared to like the Thoth or other decks. But one of the things that this guy pointed out in his channel is that the heart isn't necessarily your emotions, it's your center. And it's also associated to the sixth Sephiroth, Tiferet, which is beauty, it is balance. And so the three swords kind of mimic also the top three Sephira above, the number three, the Keter, number 1, 2, and 3, that top triangle, piercing down, reflecting, and, you know, essentially connecting into the bottom three Sephira. I need a true life diagram. I don't know where I have one. There should be one here. Maybe in here? Please be in here. I don't think there is. Oh gosh. I'm unprepared as always. But yeah, it mirrors that perfectly. And I was like, what? Let me see. Where is this? Is it here? Is it back here? Give me a minute. Here it is. So if you see here, you have the top three. Wait, no, right here. The top three, the top triangle right here. You have Tiferet in the center, and then you have the bottom three Sephiroth right here. And so you can see kind of the three swords piercing from here. Gosh, I hate how the camera is flipped. From here, oh my gosh, I can't even trace it. But you get the idea. It matches up pretty well. Oh, come on, camera, come on. There we go. You know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, so it's about the supernals, the divine, piercing through and balancing everything out into understanding and realizing things as, you know, what needs to be learned and understood. And understanding is the name of Binah, the third Sephira.
Okay. Tony said, sometimes it feels like conditioning is preventing us from addressing our truth, blocking our own throat chakra. Time for awkward conversations. Yeah. Okay, something that I'm interested in, like looking at all these cards, is like, of course, wanting to know where that all came from. And so, yes, I'm looking at the Golden Dawn decks, and one card that I have here, that's the deck by Robert Lang, is you see three swords there, and this is kind of like a continuation from the two, because here you have the two swords crossing and you have the 5-petaled rose. And here it's like there is one sword coming up in the middle, breaking those apart and cutting through that flower. And so It looks like a disruption of peace and balance going from one to the other. And what did I have here? So yeah, like a separation, or even like arguments coming, like one coming in and breaking all that up, which then also leads to sorrow. And with like the one in the middle coming in, that could also have like an element of selfishness, you know, wanting to insert something into something existing. And of course, this is always depending on the perspective, like which of these swords do you associate with in whatever situation. And that's where then also the element of betrayal kind of comes in. And so another older depiction that we have here in the Hermetic Tarot, and it's called the Lord of Sorrow. And I don't know if we already said this, but it's Saturn in Libra. That's the astrological. So you can kind of see here, like the three hands with the swords. One in the middle is a lot stronger. The ones on the outside have been like bended. So there is a like, no, like you go your way now. It's my turn here kind of thing. And if I look at the before and after tarot, like in the before, there is the heart and the three swords are coming for it. But then everything at some point ends, and then we badge it up and we move forward. So for me, this whole heart thing also goes with what Summer said, like we are our own worst enemy in a sense. And I also like the depiction in the Initiatory Golden Dawn, where the woman is like having her head in her hands and she's thinking like, oh my God, what just happened? What have I done? What have other people done to me? And how do I get out of this? So for me, it's a lot of like mental anguish that's coming. And I think a better, like in contrast to going through the heart, I also like this depiction in the Vampire Tarot going through the head.
Yeah.
Where it's like our thoughts are what's really causing the heartache, because before we feel it here, we have it here. And so that's why yeah, I can understand the heart, but something like this would make a little bit more sense to me when I'm reading the cards. So yeah, do you have any of you any more swords cards with different depictions that might make you read this card a little bit differently?
I have a question that I would like to propose. Since you are studying the Golden Dawn, and I believe, Zach, you have knowledge already because you've already studied and you're helping Maria. Okay, so my question is one thing that I have thought about for myself when I'm reading and the swords come up, it's well, with any card, some people read if it's in reverse or if it's upright, it might change the meaning. Personally, for myself, I don't. I try to disregard that, and just depending on where it lands, that's where I would decide if I'm going to go with the upright or reverse meaning. So what I'm wondering about with the swords, I felt like the hilt looks like a cross, and it kind of goes along with that divinity that you were talking about. If that's a cross, say if it's upside down, does that mean like it's an upside down cross? Because it's like the swords itself. And I am just asking for opinion because I don't think there's anything that says, yeah, that's right. I think it's theory. And I believe that, is that making a statement almost that in reverse, the cross would be upside down? So that's like saying that that's the only way it's good. I'm just, do you know what I'm asking? Because I'm not real good with.
So you're onto something. You're onto something. I always hear this. I need to look more into where this is coming from and why it's like this, but not necessarily a cross, though there is something to that. And it reminds me of your UFO tarot. I think it's called UFO tarot, actually. Now that I look at it, I'm like,
Yeah.
might be. And that one is where it's the wand, and then it becomes a lightsaber.
Yeah.
And it's like that. It's very interesting. Like, yeah, like if you think about it, the hilt of a sword is a wand. It's a handle.
Yeah.
It's something to grasp. There's something to. I'll take a note of that. I'll look into that some other time. But swords, the sword in and of itself, when it's pointed down, it's the Golden Dawn and other mystery schools that looked into that did this stuff, viewed that as a bad omen. Not a bad omen, something bad. That was like dark magic. That was evil, dark, insidious. That's why they didn't really point the sword down like that in tarot depictions. At least very few decks do that. I think the only one that does that is the Ace of Swords in the Nap Hall tarot, but I need to refresh my memory as to why he had it illustrated that way. But yeah, but for the Golden Dawn here, I'm not sure why Waite would allow that, unless, again, which might be one of the things that Waite might have like not really. I think if Waite had more of an influence, he probably would have told Pamela Coleman like, no, put the sword handles coming up and piercing up from under the, maybe, I don't know, just an idea.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, but that's right. That's where I think maybe possibly where that's going.
It's like mind-blowing to even speculate what might be the answer to that. So that's why I had to ask.
I do have a few more cards here that have some different depictions. So one is in the New Mythic Tarot, and this is, you can't really see the sword so much, but this is Clytemnestra, and I forgot the name of her lover, and they are killing, I think it was Agamemnon. So this is like the element of betrayal that I definitely see in this card. Three's company, so there's one too many, and so something's got to go, and that's what I read in this one. Then there's a very different aspect with this in the haunted house. The three swords are on the wall; they're not really doing much, and the Van Helsing guy, he is like going after the vampire and doing that kind of stuff. So yeah, the element of betrayal is kind of like in the backstory. You would have to know how it got to that point, but also, yeah, I mean, it's going straight through the heart, but I still don't really see this as like heartbreak, because he's just doing his job in a way. So this is very emotionless for me.
It's interesting that they both have coffins in them. And
well, he's like, in the bathtub.
Oh, really?
He was killed in the bathtub.
I'm the alchemical spidey senses are like tingling seeing that image, because it's like, oh, so it's like that is. Maybe I underestimated the Mythic Tarot. Wait, I just hate what.
It's interesting, yeah.
I just hate what they did with
the story. He was killed in the bathtub.
Okay, so I was like, wait a minute, is that? Wait, could it be? No. What was her name? The
woman that's Queen Clytemnestra.
Okay, so in the Tarot of Delphi, this is Electra.
That's the daughter.
Yeah, his daughter. Okay, I was like, it's daughter, because I looked at Tarot of Delphi. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, is this kind of? I'm like, and then it's Electra at the tomb of Agamemnon.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, look at that. I was like, oh, so yeah. Yeah, at her father's tomb. Yeah, I was like, why did I think it was his wife? Anyways, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and the story then continued with the daughter finding out about this whole thing and taking revenge.
Oh.
In a very, very brutal way. And then another card that I have is in the Housewife's Tarot, where here we have a cake, but we have three of these. What do you call them? I don't know the English word for that, but where you lift the cake up. And so that's like definitely too many. Like you don't need that many of them in one cake. One is enough. So there's definitely a bit of a competition going on. Like I see this as like a competition card. Like, let me do it. No, let me do it. No, I can do this much better than you, kind of thing. Okay. Well, that brings us to the Four of Cups. And this is the traditional card that we normally know. So why don't we start with you, Zach? What do you think about the Three of Cups? What do you see?
I always think of it as like a fun party time. It's celebration. It's jubilee. It's still also reflecting the Tree of Life Sephiroth triangle thing with the 3 cups as that in that triangular form. Still for some reason, and then so that's what I got there on that one. Not too much going on in terms of that card. I need to look more deeper into that one.
Mm-hmm. Like overall Three of Cups, or do you have any other cards with other?
I mean, the most complex, confusing one still to me a bit is the Marielle, and it's talking about, although there are these different paths that this water has flowed from, it still feeds into this tree, and although there are these diverging, paths, we still end up at the same place. In the Tree of Life diagram, going back to that, the 3 paths don't just keep separating and splitting off. They end at the bottom back into one, and vice versa. Going up the tree, it goes into one again. And so it's kind of like realizing that when you reach this point, it's like, oh, we're as they say in High School Musical, we're all in this together,
Yeah.
Now I hear it in my head.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna rewatch High School Musical, and then maybe possibly I probably won't do a video called "The Occult and Esoteric Teachings in High School Musical."
Well, it's not that far off. I mean, given that Hollywood puts a lot of that stuff into it without us even knowing.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
You never know. And like Disney is rumored to be all kinds of like whatever dark behind the scenes, so you never know. What about you, Summer?
The Three of Cups has like a circle back for me. And I get that from the Shadowscapes mostly. I do see a sense of companionship with the Three of Cups, like people coming together from different walks of life, friends that are there for each other. Like the Crystal Visions shows the friends that are there for each other. And they're sitting in like a semicircle even. And then the moon in the background has that circle aspect. So I see a circle, not a triangle, really. But in the Shadowscapes, she has the 3 mermaids that are making the circle, and then inside the circle is the triangle of the 3 of them. So it's like circling back from a point of existence or a point of being, and a coming together in that sense. And I guess I even see it because as an editor and author, there's that circle back you get from the beginning to the end, where you circle back to the end of it in the 3 structure of the beginning, the middle, and the end. And your beginning starts somewhere, and your end is supposed to circle back to the beginning, so that it's a point of reference. So it's a complete circle, even though it's 3 points.
Carla?
The Three of Cups, when I first started tarot, was a stalker card for me. And thinking back, it was, I felt like it was saying, you need to go forth and do this with the people in your community, because they are the ones that you are like-minded with. And because before, I was working in a factory by myself and have all this stuff in my head that I just want to share so much, and I get that from other people, their added experience, their knowledge, it boy, when I came into the community, I understood. It's like that was my favorite card, and it still is, because I get that when we put our heads together, I feel joyous. I want to celebrate because I'm excited, and the Gilded Tarot definitely reflects that. I love that. But I find it interesting that the UFO tarot, I'm pretty sure you are right about that, Zach. It is that. It is luck brings more satisfaction, but stealing it when you have more with a friend. And I like that. I see unity, and like you said, Summer, the different walks of life coming together. I just think that's beautiful. We are all different, but together, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what I see when I see that card is the music video TLC Waterfalls, when they come out of the water and they're like singing the water. That's what I see in that one.
Yep.
Okay. So for me, of course, going back to like where pictures even came from, because with other tarot decks, such as, for example, this in the Housewife's Tarot, here we even have a baby, which kind of connects it back to like this whole Empress giving birth to something, to coming together, creating one. I can see that in this card. But the interesting thing is that's kind of opposite of what it started as, because it started as this with one on the top, which is also what we see here. Like one is higher than the others. You can make that triangle. And so, yeah, looking at the golden dawn, like this is called the Lord of Abundance. And so we have the hand coming out of the clouds again, and we have these either lotus flowers or water lilies coming from the hand, and coming together in that top cup, making that overflow with water, which then goes down into the next two that also overflow. So here we have that element of abundance, where everything is poured into the next one. So for me, this always represents like plenty and success, pleasure, love, party, like we have in this card. But for me, this, since I don't read reversals, I see the positive and negative aspects in the card the way that it is. Kitty cat. So I also see this, like the negative aspect, like partying too much and even alcoholism with this card. So there's also a warning, like don't overdo it. I mean, abundance is all good and well, but if that keeps flowing and if you keep consuming it, at some point, it's just going to be too much. So even though it looks like a very happy card, there is a darkness underneath all of that I see. And in the before tarot here, we even see the ladies pressing out the grapes and pouring that into the cup so that they create the juice, the wine, whatever. And in the after tarot, it's not too different from this. Like they've just been going around a little bit, but yeah, still partying, party on, dude. So at what point do you stop? So what is enough pleasure, and what is indulgence, like overindulgence and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
What's interesting, to hold up that Golden Dawn card again, I think it's the rubber, yeah, that one. So look at how the lotus vines are making a shape of a heart right there. And so one of the things of Binah is that it's restriction and containment, and it's again that focusing. It's the heart containing and pumping and constricting the blood flowing through the body as well. There was something else. I got that from, again, the Zalewskis. That, I think that's how you pronounce their names. It's a black book. It has the Golden Dawn type of cards on it. It's I should have brought it out. It's in my backpack, but it's the day I quickly read through that, and that showed up there, you know, and I was like, oh yeah, and that's where it's kind of like what you were saying, like what's the limit? And it's like, well, kind of like going down into the different levels. They go fire, then water, and then air. It's like after the Three of Cups, we got our Three of Swords. You know, it's what that could be in terms of like in the midst of celebration. I always think like when people gather together, it's like, yes, it's great, but there's also like a discussion of like heartache as well, of, you know, when you're going through to family gatherings and you're catching up with people, they talk about, you know, issues that they may be having with like their spouse or with their children in school or with their work, you know, and that right there in a way is kind of that therapeutic unity, you know, of as well with coming together. It's the water's supposed to be healing in a way. Yeah.
And then there's one card that I have here in the haunted house. Like up there, you can see the 3 cups and the 3 people having the party. And then the main character going through the deck, she is like drowning. So for me, that's also this aspect of like, if it's too much, you're just drowning in all the pleasure, the excitement, and it's very easy to get carried away. So this card is more like a warning for me that like, yeah, the party's good, you can enjoy it for a while, but know your limits. Or then a very, very different depiction that I have in the Vampire Tarot. Here it's mirrors, because that whole suit has been changed into mirrors. And so here we have the 3 mirrors facing each other, creating that triangle, the collaboration coming together, and all feeding off of one another, like doing this together in equal parts.
That's interesting. Wow. I feel like your emotions are internal, so what you mirror to the outside isn't always exactly what you're feeling. So that is extremely interesting. I like that.
That idea of feeding off each other, because that's kind of what friends do, right? That when one person is excited about something and the other person is also excited about it, or even if you go out shopping or something like that, your friend's like, yeah, get it. And you're like, should I not get it? Yeah, get it. So there's that back and forth that happens. And so I really like the mirror aspect of that.
Me too.
Yeah. And this card here, this is the Cosmic Tarot. The 3 cups are just standing there and overflowing. And the couple in the background always reminds me of ballet dancers, the way that they're holding their position back there. But yeah, in a way they're together, but like working together, but also like everyone, like both of them are focused on like, oh, is my position good? Like, am I holding the hands right? My feet? Does my body look good and everything? So with the cups just standing there, I see a sense of connection and disconnection, like both of it in this card.
Yeah.
See, now you got me looking at my other cards as well. So again, I was like, oh wait, I should look at the 3 of Cups in my Tarot of Delphi. And there they are, you know, it's 3 women bathing, cleaning themselves. I don't know what exactly the title of the painting is, but it reminds me again, back to you know, Clytemnestra and Agamemnon, how he was killed in the bath, you know, and how bathing is such an intimate, very like, you're exposed, you don't have anything covering you or protecting you, you know. And that's kind of another thing about the 3 of Cups, is who you let your guard down around. You're able to share cups with them, you know. It's much, but that's also like 2 of Cups. You see them like almost like trading cups in a way, you know. It takes a lot of trust to like give someone to have someone get you a drink, you know. And so yeah, it's I don't know where I'm going with that. The community and empathy as well, you know, what you were talking about, Carla, about like, you know, connecting with people. And it's this right here, it's this live stream that we're doing, you know. It's very 3 of Cups, you know. It's that, you know, although it was just surprising because it's about communication and connecting to people, and that is Mercury, which is in the three, which is the decanic ruler of this decan of Cancer. So surprisingly, the Three of Cups is also very airy and, as well, whereas there's that interplay. There's a lot of interplay with water and air, how they can be like switched several times, the symbols as well. It gets tricky.
Yeah, Mercury and Cancer for me, that's like, let's talk about our feelings.
Yeah, definitely.
And let's feel our words. What does that do? Like both ways. Okay, so does anyone in the chat have any final words, so to speak? Because, yeah, these were all very interesting points that we talked about, and that's why I love these conversations with different readers to gain different perspectives. And that's also what I love about this whole like tarot being out there and having so many decks, that we have these different depictions that give us different ideas of how we could interpret something, which is also why, like, that's something that I do. I use different decks for different reasons because of their depictions. Do you guys do that?
Definitely. I think I said it in the last one, the last round table, that we that I use a special deck that connects with my dragon guide, and he's very to the point, and so when I need some fiery type advice, stuff that not always am I okay with, but necessary, I use that deck. But I haven't read for very many people outside of my family, so.
Yeah, but even for ourselves, we can use different decks for different questions. So, because I also, like, I have decks that are a little bit more soft-spoken in a way when I just need that hug kind of feeling. And then I do have decks, like, for example, this vampire deck. That is actually, this one doesn't take any prisoners. It looks very, very innocent, but that one is like, you asked for it, here it is.
Yep. I want to get deep. I like this one too. But I would only read for myself with this one. It'd be too hard to read for other people.
Yeah. I enjoyed this talk with you guys very much as well. So once again, thank you for being here and doing this with me. And to everyone, just a reminder, in the description box are all the links to all of our channels. So go and subscribe if you haven't already. Because what we do with a round table, we also take turns hosting, and the next episode will be on Summer's channel. So definitely subscribe so that you don't miss the episode. And I think we want to do these like every 2 weeks if we can. And it will be around the same time. So that would be noon Eastern Standard Time. And if any of you out there would like to be a guest on one of our episodes and talk with us about tarot and about the cards, let us know. Either put a comment in the comment section after this video, or I think I also put my Instagram link in there. You can also just write me a message, get in contact with us. So let us know, and then come to the round table and participate, talk with us. We would love that. And oh, Gerald just came in. Hi, we're just about to finish. And yeah, I will, if I don't forget, I will also put the episodes 1 and 2 in the description box for everyone who hasn't seen those already. And so yeah, in the next episode, we will talk about the Force. So, okay. Be a guest. It was such fun. Yeah, thank you, Gerald. You were in episode 2. So yeah, I will put the link so you can watch that. And yeah, so thank you for everyone in the chat who joined us today. Thank you to the ladies and special guest, Zach. Go and subscribe, and then we'll see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye.